Right. So, you hear the term BIA, and, you really don't know what it means. It might take a year, it might take 2 years to really get a true understanding of what it is. But, Coach Combs, he originated it, with some of those guys like Garyon and Marshawn and, the greats that have came through here. And what he preaches, is that, we're not competing against the guy next to us. We're competing against them. We're trying to, push that bar higher that all those first rounders have set here. And so every day, we go out with that thought process that, we come here and we want to be first rounders and we want to win championships. And he's not afraid to say it. We're not afraid to say it. And that's the standard here, and that's what we always try to uphold.
Next up, Joe Dempsey with Buckeye Sports Bulletin and Tony Gurdman on deck. Joe?
Hey, Marcus. Hope you're doing well. Now that Tyrek Johnson's in his third year with the program, how has he developed on and off the field since coming in as a five-star recruit, and what's the next step for him?
Right. So, like you mentioned, Tyrek came in as a five-star, that five-star pedigree, and Tyrek's extremely talented. We've had some great guys in our unit, and sometimes, it's hard to really break through. But Tyrek, he comes to work every day with his head down, and he goes to work. So we're really excited for Tyrek. He's been showing great things, and we're excited to see him on the field this season.
Thank you.
Next up, Tony Gurdman with Buckeye Scoop and Joey Kaufman on deck. Tony?
Marcus, you mentioned your career not going quite the way you wanted to this point, but now you're a senior looking like you are the guy in the spot. This is kind of a free year for you as well because it's basically a redshirt year for everybody. So how do you feel right now having this opportunity, and I guess what is your determination right now to make the most of it?
So like you said, I came in pretty much injury-ridden, my first couple of years. And anybody that, goes through injuries, you got the great stories here, like, Johnny Dixon. You've got the Justin Hilliards, these great stories of these comebacks. And luckily, I haven't had, these, major, like Achilles and knee, but, I've had my struggles. And having this year, having this extra year, it's given me a new lifeblood. I'm so ready to help this team and help us win. And I think that's really the driving force behind it. Now that I've stepped into a leadership role, I just love this team so much. And I just want to do whatever we can to win, man. So I'm ready to get excited. I'm ready for week one. We've done a lot of waiting. I've done a lot of waiting, and I think we're ready as a team.
Next up, Joey Kaufman of the Columbus Dispatch with Mary Smith on deck. Joey?
Marcus, as far as you guys have, much of this offseason has been condensed, and there obviously hasn't been a lot of opportunities to practice in pads and work on fundamentals like tackling. Where do you guys, and it seems like pads might come on next week, but where do you guys feel like you are as far as a lot of just defensive fundamentals?
So, yeah, not having pads on in practice, it definitely has its difficulties. But, I think Coach Day, our defensive staff and our staff as a whole, they preach practicing like a pro. And so without having those pads on, you're able to, practice those fundamentals, having a great football position, playing low, having the right approach on a tackle. And I think it'll pay off once we get the pads on. And, yeah.
Next up, Mary Smith from WSYX Channel Smith with Channel 6 with Spencer Holbrook on deck. Mary?
Hey, Marcus. So I just had a question. Coach Combs has sent so many to pros. Can you guys hear me? Okay,
Yes.
awesome. He has sent so many to pros. How has he helped you?
Well, Coach Combs, he spent 2 years in the league, and, he's always just had a great football knowledge and a great sense of technique. And, he's really brought that knowledge back to us and really just helped us to take that next step forward and understand where we are and where we want to go. So it's been great to have.
Thank you.
We're going to take just 2 or 3 more questions for Marcus and then bring in Coach Combs. Next up, Spencer Holbrook from Letterman Row with Dan Hope on deck. Spencer?
Marcus, when you come in to the program with guys like Jeff and the talent that you came in with in the secondary. What did you learn from the years with those guys that can kind of help you take that next step and become what they were in the past?
You know, first, you know, those are my teammates, you know, and so you really just, you know, you feed off of each other, and, you know, being able to sit down and watch those guys and how they compete, and understanding that, you know, I came in with those guys too. And so, you know, just trying to reach that standard that, you know, a guy like last year, like Jeff set, and guys previous, you know, it's something that we all strive for, and I strive for personally. So.
Next up, Dan Hope with 11 Warriors and Patrick Murphy on deck. Dan?
Hey, Marcus. Tony mentioned before about, you know, you guys getting the extra year of eligibility. Have you thought about that at all? About, you know, you thought this was going to be your last year, and, you know, now you might have that opportunity to come back for a second year?
Right. Well, you know, 2020 has been a crazy year for us as a nation and as a whole. And coronavirus and the pandemic, you know, it's brought a lot of issues, but it's also, you know, it's been a blessing in disguise for me. You know, I've had some seasons cut short here, and having this extra year, you know, it gives me, you know, a sense of freedom, you know, to just go out there and play and have fun and be that leader for the guys that I think we need on defense, and that, you know, we can really strive and go do big things this year. So great to be back, great to have that year, and just ready to get started.
Thanks, Marcus.
And last question for Marcus comes from Patrick Murphy with 24/7 Sports. Patrick?
Marcus, you mentioned not having pads. I'm curious how much tackling you guys have done. We've seen teams throughout the country kind of start the season slow. Some teams haven't practiced tackling at all. Obviously, you guys have some time, but how much have you guys been able to do in that department?
So, you know, we haven't had pads on much, like I mentioned earlier. But, you know, there's ways, you know, practice having, you know, a great approach to the tackle, having great football position, playing low, playing with great eyes. And that's something we drill every day and we emphasize. And so once those pads come on, you know, it's like taking the training wheels off, you know. So having those practice habits every day and practicing like a professional, I think will really pay off for us as a team.